Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working with some solid gel. We are going to be doing an easy French flower foil design. I'm just going to show you the prep like we always do it. As you can see, I've started by pushing the cuticles back. Then I'll mat the surface of the nail with a 100/180 grit file. If you use a regular file, make sure that you come around the cuticles so you get rid of all that dead skin. Now, get rid of all the dust. I would definitely recommend that you use a primer. I haven't, since this is a fake finger, before we go in with the base coat. And this is a rubber base gel from Born Pretty. It's a slightly thicker consistency. These are great if you've got slightly uneven nail beds. You can get them in several different colours and they're a soak off. That means that you can remove them with acetone. And I'm just going to do a thin coat before I give it a cure for 60 seconds. So I've decided to just do an easy fix today and use a dual form. Now it's important that you find one that fits from sidewall to sidewall. There is going to be a little bit of a gap between the natural nail and the form because there will be an arch there that needs to be filled with product. I am not going to build the nail at once. I'm going to build it in several steps. I could have done it at once, despite it being a French, but that would have caused me some problems with the foil though. I'm using a solid builder gel from Mihzhse, not sure how to pronounce it. I only want a small amount and I want it super thin. I'm going to kind of build the and then cure it. I don't want to go and bulk this nail up, so I'm just going to take it a bit easy here. I'll add a little bit at a time. Now if you look at this gel, it is called solid gel. It reminds me more of a sculpture gel. It's super easy to work with and fantastic for beginners. But if you think you're getting a gel that you can spread out like the normal way, that it's just got a firmer viscosity, I think you're in for a surprise because this is solid. And you can't use a brush with it because that'll be too soft. I like to wear gloves because I think it's so quick and easy just to push it out. You can use a cuticle pusher or one of these silicone tools. But like I said, first round, super thin. There's something I've noticed which is a bit different with gel that you need to be a bit aware of, and that is you can spend a long time being careful and doing a good job when you do this, but sometimes, despite that you've filled the whole entire form in, it can kind of shrink back a little bit. This doesn't really ooze anywhere or anything. I'm just going to set it down close to the cuticle, not all the way down at the cuticle. I'll press it down firmly. If I'm missing anything because it's shrunk a little bit, I'll either kind of pull it back up again, or if I need to, I can just put a little bit more in. But I'm going to try and avoid that. And it's not necessary to panic either, because if you haven't got enough and you've cured it, you can always put the form back on and just kind of apply a little bit in the piece. Apply a little tiny bit where you're missing. But just be a bit mindful of that so you don't get a big surprise. And sometimes if you've got like this little ledge, you can smooth that out at the same time. Now when that's done, I'm going to give it a full cure. Often you'll find that these dual forms have kind of got little wings at the bottom. And despite this being quite a strong product, I'd still be a bit careful when I removed it. Kind of wiggle it off. I'm just going to refine the sides just a little tiny bit before I put any foil on. I've got enough, but it's a little tiny bit uneven where I pulled it past the side walls. And I'm also, if there's like a little tiny ledge at the cuticle, I'm going to even that. It's an advantage to have a thin layer as well, because that'll give you a protective layer on your natural nail if you file it off. Now I've just got a rough buffer here. It's probably about 100. And I'm just going to etch the surface because I want the foil gel to stick. And it is a very smooth surface, especially if you use dual forms. I'm just going to put down one coat. This colour is absolutely fantastic. It's from Lavender Violets, I think, that matches the foil. Because if you should have any missing parts, you won't get any patches shining through. And this applies especially to the free edge. But like I said, don't do it thick. Using a foil gel from Nao, and I'm just going to do a thin coat. And the foil will only go where you put the gel. You can also use the traditional foil glue, like the old school one that dries. I'm just going to make sure I catch the sides properly. I'm not doing a super thick coat because this foil gel can sometimes bulk a little bit, but I'm just making sure that I've got enough. So I'm going to pull that evenly down the nail, and then I'm going to give it a 30-second cure, and I'm going to let it cool down for a few seconds afterwards. So I picked this foil out. I thought this was kind of pretty. Oh, and I am doing a French, by the way. That is why I haven't pulled the foil all the way up. So this releases if you keep pressing it down a bit. You can rub it a little bit. I like to use my fingers sometimes. I think that's easier than using a tool. And I'm super impatient. I keep peeling it up and looking at it, which is a really stupid thing to do, because if it hasn't released and you keep sticking it back down, it's just going to smudge everything. You can keep rubbing where it's started to release. If you've got any patches missing, what you can do is you can just kind of stick the foil back down and see if you can get it to attach. Whatever goes on top of this, I want it to adhere. I don't want any breakdowns, and I have got to cap the edges in some way. That is why I'm just taking my file and I'm kind of removing just a little tiny bit of the foil so that it doesn't come past the free edge or the sidewalls, because that will help the other product stick down a bit. I've got several different pinks, but I landed on this baby pink one. It's from Born Pretty. I did another couple of nails just as a demo as well, but they're all done in the same way. I'm just going to press out a nail bed. Now you can do this in one step. It's just me that's a little bit panicky. I always do it in two. And that's literally because I feel that I've got more control over the product. It doesn't really take you any longer. And I am going to set that down. I didn't have to use a form on this either, it's just to get the guideline. You need a little ledge here, and you need it to be a bit sharp. So all I do is I just use the tool to push it into place. This is also the reason that I took the form off, because it gives me a little bit of play so that I can get the nail bed how I want it. I'd have had to done it all at once. I would have had to put the nail bed in and then done the free edge as well in the form. That wouldn't have been a problem if we weren't doing foil. If we'd have done it like that, we wouldn't have had anything to put the foil in. They call this a non-stick builder gel or a non-stick hand gel. That is because it doesn't stick to your hands. It doesn't mean that you're supposed to use your hands to manipulate it. And I wouldn't do that either. I either wear gloves or use a tool, because first of all, we've got grease on our fingers and that can cause lifting problems. Second of all, it makes it dirty. And third of all, it is really quick if you've got gloves on. Now with the solid gel, I've got a normal room temperature. Sometimes, just to smooth it out and make it really glossy, I'll kind of just put the form back down and press it into shape. It's too big to fit on the entire nail now, but it's just like I said, to gloss it over. I'm just going to come around that ledge with my file and kind of sharpen it up a little tiny bit, but be very, very careful that you don't hit the foil. It is just me being a bit fussy. I'm not going to refine the nail bed completely. What I just want to kind of do is get rid of some scratches and that. So I'm going to give it a proper finish file at the end. Now where I've got the foil, I'm going to put a thin coat of base coat on, because I want everything to stick down. And I'm also going to put a little tiny bit of glitter in. After I've given that a cure, I am just going to go in with a little bit of the pink and kind of come around the small line. It's just to emphasise it a bit. It gives it a little bit more of a shadow and makes it a bit more visible, especially if you're using pale colours like I am here. I'm going to give that a full cure. I'm just going in with a tiny bit of base coat where I need it. And I'm literally just going to freeze it for a couple of seconds in the lamp before I go in with some glitter. Again, I'm just going to do it around the nail bed. And make sure that you manage to push it up the sides. I'm going to put down some more clear. I'm just going to encapsulate the foil part. And as you can see, I am just going to even it out with my fingers first and cover that entire free edge. And come all the way up the sides, super important. But I'm not going to go over the nail bed. That's not necessary because I have got a good enough arch on that. What I like to do is to make sure that the nail keeps its shape. I like to work a lot at the sides and kind of pinch it in so that it keeps an arch on the top. If you keep going flat, you're going to get a flat nail. And if you're a beginner and you're not sure what the apex should look like or how high the arch should be, you can just look at the form. That'll give you a guideline. Now I cure this for 90 seconds. I'm missing a little tiny bit, so I'm going to apply just a little bit more where I'm short. I'm just going to do my normal finish filing routine. I'm going to make sure that it comes straight out from under the nail. And then I'm going to bring it out the sides. If you look at the bit I'm using, this is not the bit to use. This is because this was the only one that I've got lying at home right now. Because This is a bit for removal, and you can see by the teeth it's just eating through the product. So I am just going super slow, being super careful so that I don't razor everything off again. But I still want to debulk it that little tiny bit and give it a bit more shape. And I'll also tip my e-file underneath the free edge so that I can get that a bit thinner as well. And I know this is a bit daunting, but I do come around the cuticle as well. But like I said, do not use this bit normally. This is just a quick fix today. Now, I just want to finish it off with my hand file, and I'm going to buff over it, just gently. But there is nowhere near as much filing with these as there are a lot of other products, and that is really nice. And this does cure hard, believe it or not. It doesn't just come peeling off, you do actually have to file properly. I'm going to put some gems on these. So I want to put the top coat down first, because I don't want to get top coat on my gems afterwards, and I'm going to give that a cure. And I am using a rhinestone glue from Born Pretty with like a precision applicator. Every time I put 1 or maximum 2 stones on, I do give it a flash cure in the lamp so they don't go everywhere. And I just wanted to make this simple today, so I'm just putting a few around the cuticle area. I don't want to overpower the foil too much. When I've got them all in place, I am going to give them a full cure, and then I'll be back to have a look at the final result. I'm really pleased with the way these came out. I think they're super pretty, and they're very easy to do. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you like my stuff, please like, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. And until next time, bye!